I know building projects, is the impact of weather. It can vary significantly from one site to the next. How do environmental events like wind, snow, and hail affect designs and installations of trackers, especially with regards to that core piece that we're talking about, the foundation?
Yeah, the weather events and actually a great example is within the last week, 2 weeks here in the U.S. It's just been some crazy amount of tornadoes that traditionally, never really
Yeah.
showed up. And I just saw something recently that from 79 to now, something like a 30% more tornadoes shifting to the East Coast than
Oh my
what it
goodness.
was
Yeah.
traditionally in years past. So those weather events, you have to really design for, primarily wind and snow. Those are the main ones that we take into consideration. And almost always when I get a project intake form, the first thing I do is go to the ATC hazards by location. It's a free service, and you can plug in a latitude, longitude, or street address, and then you can find out what the wind load and snow load is for that specific site. And those are the two parts, because obviously, depending on the stow strategy for wind, you have to move the tracker to be able to survive whatever wind that you're designing to. And so those are some of the key factors. That's part of it. And then also the snow loads. You obviously wouldn't want to stow a tracker flat as a table and have it crushed from 3, 4, 5 feet of snow. So those also go into the design considerations on the purlin, the torque tube, what position should we stow in wind and snow, and those are really some key things. Certainly, hail is another one. It's kind of hard to predict hail, but nowadays where we get these warnings in advance that there's going to be some hail in a certain area, controllers that have that situational awareness that something is coming and then stow also to a different angle. And then not all trackers stow at the same position for snow and wind. So these are basically designs that we go through to make sure that we survive the storm, if you will.
You know what's fascinating? I'm looking at the poll results here, and at least one says doesn't expect any of these engineering offerings. No one mentioned foundation analysis. Pre-engineering design, something that we would expect. Geotech report, interesting. Can be procured through a number of third parties, but that you would handle it is a good service. I think it's really interesting. I almost consider, personally, I would assume that foundation analysis is one of those core offerings, and yet those who are watching live, at least, none of them consider it to be something that they look for specific to a solar tracker as an offering. Very, very interesting.